Greetings, everyone. We're going to begin this class by examining the question, what is philosophy? When many students sign up for a philosophy class, they wrongly think that philosophy is nothing more than asking questions that have no answers. And that's just not true. And believe me, on your tests and quizzes, there are correct and incorrect answers. So, while it is true that many of the questions posed by philosophy don't have answers yet, it isn't the case that philosophy is nothing more than pondering unanswerable questions about life, the universe, and everything.
So let's start by looking at how some philosophers have defined philosophy. The pre-Socratic philosopher Heraclitus defined philosophy as a sacred disease. I'm not entirely sure what he meant by that, but I think it has something to do with the idea of dis-ease, that there is something about philosophy that can make you uncomfortable. A colleague of mine likes to tell her students that they should feel irritated by philosophy. I think that is because philosophy demands that we examine our assumptions, and that's hard work and not always pleasant. So let's try again. Ambrose Bierce, he defined philosophy as a noun, a route of many roads leading from nowhere to nothing. Okay, let's forget that one. How about the 20th century philosopher William James? He defined philosophy as the unusually stubborn attempt to think clearly. Okay, now I think we're getting somewhere. The Oxford Companion to Philosophy defines philosophy similar to James. According to it, philosophy is thinking about thinking. Ludwig Wittgenstein said that philosophy aims at the logical clarification of thoughts. Philosophy is not a body of doctrine, but an activity. Philosophy does not result in philosophical propositions, but rather in the clarification of propositions. Without philosophy, thoughts are, as it were, cloudy and indistinct. Its task is to make them clear and give them sharp boundaries. Robert Paul Wolff defines philosophy as the systematic, critical examination of the way in which we judge, evaluate, and act with the aim of making ourselves wiser, more reflective, and therefore better men and women. Wolff also points to the etymology of the word philosophy, which means it looks at its roots. And the word philosophy comes from two Greek words, philos, which means love, and sophia, which means wisdom. So literally, philosophy means the love of wisdom. But that brings up a lot of other questions, such as what is wisdom? And what does it mean to love it?
So, philosophy has something to do with thinking and wisdom, but if the central concern of philosophy is thinking, then we have to ask, what is it thinking about? And to answer that question, we need to look at the four primary branches of philosophy: metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and logic.
Metaphysics, which sometimes is also called ontology, looks at questions regarding being and reality. It asks these kinds of questions. What is reality? Is there an ultimate reality? What is the difference between appearance and reality? Why is there something rather than nothing? What is the relationship between mind and body? What is consciousness? Does free will exist, or is everything determined? Closely related to metaphysics is theology, which looks at questions about the existence of God and if there is a soul. Epistemology is the study of knowledge. It asks, what can we know? Is knowledge even possible? What is knowledge? What does it mean to say that we know something? How does knowledge differ from belief? Then there is ethics. Most of you probably think that ethics looks at questions of right and wrong, and you'd be right. But that's not all that it looks at. Ethics asks, what is the good life? How should I act? What kind of person do I want to be? What is justice? That brings us to a subset of ethics, which is political and social philosophy, which looks at questions surrounding the concept of the state. It asks, well, what is a just state? Is the state ever justified? What is the best form of government? Are there such things as natural social rights? What political and social duties do humans have, if any? And finally, there is logic. Logic is the science of valid inferences. It is the study of arguments. Now, it's important to note that an argument in philosophy is not a disagreement, but rather an argument is an attempt to prove something true. Arguments are not mere opinion. Arguments provide evidence and support for beliefs. Logic is how someone does philosophy.
I hope you now have a better understanding of what philosophy is. I'd like to add one more thing to the mix, though. The philosopher Aristotle said that philosophy begins in wonder. What do you think he meant by that? What does it mean to wonder? We use the word wonder in a variety of ways. We wonder whether or not it will rain, which uses wonder as a form of questioning. Wonder can express doubt, such as in, I seriously doubt about the mental health of anyone who voted for that person. It can be used to express curiosity. I wonder what will happen to me when I die. We use wonder to express feelings of surprise and astonishment. For example, it's a wonder she hasn't left him before now. Another definition of wonder is something that produces good results, such as in a wonder drug, or when someone might say, a vacation would do wonder for my attitudes. Wonder appears in words like wonderful, which means full of wonder, and wonderland, a land of wonder. And in this sense, wonder seems to be something else. It seems to refer to something awesome and amazing. I think that what Aristotle meant was something along the lines of wonder as curiosity. Philosophy is about asking questions. It is about being curious about yourself and the world around you, though that may not be all that he meant. So what do you think Aristotle meant by saying that philosophy begins in wonder?